What is the difference between organic and inorganic food that we consume? Organic food. The term organic refers to the process of how certain foods are produced. Organic foods has been grown or farmed without the use of artificial chemicals, hormones, antibiotics, or genetically modified organisms. In order to be labeled organic, a food product must be free of artificial food additives. This includes artificial sweeteners, preservatives, coloring, flavoring, and monosodium glutamate.
So you're at the store and you're looking for something quick and easy to eat. But you're also trying to be health conscious. So instead of the regular cheesy mac, you go for the organic stuff. Instead of regular chicken nuggets, you grab some organic chicken nuggets. Then top it off with some organic sandwich cookies. Cookies. It's all organic, so it's good for you, right? Well, not always. You see, while 45% of Americans think the organic label means healthy or good, organic really has nothing to do with how nutritious the food is for you. Organic really just defines how the ingredients were created, prepared, or raised. Let me explain. Organic means that there aren't any genetically modified ingredients. Also, organic means that no chemicals were used to kill bugs and weeds, and that all pesticides are natural instead of synthetic. And organic means nothing was fertilized with sewage sludge. Yeah, sewage sludge. Organic also means that nothing was exposed to radiation, which some manufacturers do to sterilize food, and that no industrial solvents were used to clean things up. Also, organic means there could be no chemical food additives that some foods have to make them stay fresh for an unnatural amount of time. And if it's meat, that there's no routine use of antibiotics or hormones pumped into the animals. And all this stuff is really important. But notice, organic doesn't necessarily mean that the ingredients are nutritious. So if you care about healthy foods, it's more important to just eat whole foods, mostly fruits and vegetables, and avoid packaged-like substances. And yeah, that includes organic cheesy mac. And here's a really big tip. If you can pronounce all the ingredients in a package you're holding, then you're on the right track.
Inorganic food. Inorganic foods use synthetics during the production process. These synthetics commonly include chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Additionally, producers can also modify inorganic food items at a molecular or genetic level. This allows producers to cross-breed crops to produce hardier strains with higher quantities.
Created using Powtoon.
Application in our diet. There is a growing body of evidence that shows some potential health benefits of organic foods when compared with conventionally grown foods. Nutrients Nutrients studies have shown small to moderate increase in some nutrients in organic food. The best evidence of a significant increase is in certain types of flavonoids which have antioxidant properties. Omega-3 fatty acids. The feeding requirements for organic livestock farming, such as the primary use of grass and alfalfa for cattle, results in generally higher levels of omega-3 fatty acids, a kind of fat that is more heart healthy than other fats. Organic foods pros and cons. Pros. First, the organic farming process is good for the overall environment. Synthetic pesticides commonly used in the foods production process can harm local wildlife. Additionally, organic farms typically produce less waste and use less energy. Consumers also benefit from organic foods by limiting exposure to potentially harmful synthetics. Further, several studies show that organic foods contain more nutrients than non-organic foods. Cons. While many individuals believe consuming organic food is safer than consuming non-organic foods, a lack of scientific evidence exists supporting this hypothesis. Further, the Food and Drug Administration has concluded that the limited amount of pesticides found in non-organic food does not cause or contribute to any health-related issues. Additionally, organic food is generally more expensive than inorganic food items. This increased cost results from the increased production costs associated with producing organic foods.
Organic food. I saw this really great little sticker that came up one day on, I think it might have been Facebook, where somebody said, eat organic food. Or, as your grandparents used to say, eat food. Well, that said, is that organic food, the idea of organic food is a new one. And it's new because really the conventional way of growing foods is what's new. So we've had to now say there's a difference between something that was grown and sprayed with Roundup versus something that was grown the way it's been growing for thousands of years. So really what it is about the issue right now has more to do with finances. I would say the general rule of thumb here is the higher on the food chain you eat, the more important organic becomes. Because the higher on the food chain you eat, the more concentrated the toxins become. Keep in mind that all of those pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, all of those things along with the hormones and the antibiotics and the things that are used in animal husbandry in this country, they move in the fats. They move in the fats of the animal. They move in the fats of the vegetable. So if you're looking at olive oil or you're looking at canola oil, you're looking at a plant matter that has been squished, huge, vast amounts of plant matter that have been squished to create that oil. So it would be like eating an entire field of corn to get, a cup of corn oil. There's a lot of corn that you would have to eat. Where if you just ate that one piece of corn, the toxic load is very small. So think about that when you're feeding a cow. Again, eating that one ear of corn, no big deal. But to grow a cow, if they're being fed corn, you need the whole field. So you want to be really careful as you move up the food chain. So from a budgetary standpoint, I would worry less about vegetables, I would worry less about grains, and less about fruits than I would about animal proteins and fats. And those fats, that's not just animal fats, that's also vegetable fats. And, well, there really aren't fruit fats, but you know where I'm going with that. So it's really important to look at, when you're looking at it from a budgetary standpoint, you want to look at spending that money on your dietary fats and your animal proteins. You can spend less of that money on the organic greens and grains. It's still really important. If you have the ability to do it, I would do it, particularly for small children. But if you need to cut corners somewhere, don't skimp on your dietary fats and don't skimp on your animal proteins.
It's a sign of the times. Organic food sales have skyrocketed, representing a nearly $30 billion market and about 12% of U.S. fruit and vegetable sales. A study in the Annals of Internal Medicine compared the health benefits of organic and conventional produce.
What we found was that there were no nutritional differences between organic foods and conventional foods. What we also found was that conventional foods do have higher levels of pesticide residue, but they were without exception all within acceptable limits.
in addition to nutritional values and pesticide levels, there are other differences in the more expensive organic food.
They will have been grown and produced in a sustainable way. We sum it up as better soil makes better products. And so the end product, the fruit, the vegetable, is going to be ultimately better tasting and of a quality that we feel we want at Whole Foods Market.
The Environmental Working Group has tried to set guidelines for the best foods to buy organic. The Clean 15 are foods with thick skins, skins you don't eat, meaning conventionally grown should be fine. The Dirty Dozen are foods with thin skins you do eat, which means organic might be better because of lower pesticide levels. But organic or conventional, a simple rule holds true.
Even if you do buy conventional produce from the Dirty Dozen, just make sure that you wash your fruits and vegetables with normal tap water. That alone can reduce your exposure even further and protect you from bacterial contamination.
But regardless of the label, it's always a good idea to educate yourself on what you're eating.
Food is a matter of personal choice. And I think being educated on what your options are is always a great idea.
We simply need to consume more fruits and vegetables. So the more color you have in your diet, the better, whether it's from organic produce or conventional.
Inorganic foods pros and cons. Pros. The synthetic materials used in the production of inorganic food items can help to control contamination with potentially dangerous mold, toxins, and bacteria. Therefore, some individuals argue that although inorganic foods may contain trace amounts of pesticides, these synthetic substances pose less harm than the natural toxins potentially found in organic foods. Additionally, inorganic foods are cheaper than their organic counterparts, and the increased yields associated with inorganic food items can potentially help to feed the poor around the world more cost effectively. Further, the nutrients level in organic foods can vary considerably, whereas inorganic foods typically contain standardized levels of nutrients in the same food items. Cons: Many of the synthetic substances found in inorganic food items do not have long-term studies available confirming the safety of these substances over time. Therefore, the long-term effects of many synthetic substances are not known. Additionally, inorganic foods typically contain fewer nutrients than organic food items. Further, some evidence exists that the synthetic substances used to produce inorganic food items may cause long-term damage to the land, ultimately making the land less fertile or non-fertile.
So, organic food or not? Really confusing. All the labels, even though they're mandated, really spin us up. 100% organic, natural, antibiotic-free. What does it mean? Well, for the first time, the American Academy of Pediatrics weighed in a clinical report. And what they found basically is this. There's no differences in nutritional value between conventionally grown and organic foods, and there isn't a lot of hard data to suggest and push that you buy your children organic food. But there's a couple ways to think about this. Break it up by food group. So fruits and veggies. What we know is that there are some foods that are much more laden with pesticides, things we really don't want in our children. And the Environmental Working Group calls those the Dirty Dozen. So if you can, you might want to buy those foods organically grown. Now there's some others like avocados, corn, and onions that really may not make a lot of difference. They just don't have a lot of pesticides on them. Do your best to rinse and wash fruit regularly and check out those lists when making choices. And when it comes to milk, people worry about growth hormone and sex hormones that are in them. Now, the group here at the Academy says this, the bovine growth hormone that's in there, it doesn't affect humans, and it's broken down by our stomach acid anyway. And those sex hormones really we don't have a lot of data to suggest they cause lots of problem in children children later. So they're coming down saying it may not be important that you buy organic milk or organic formula. When it comes to meat, they talk most about the differences in the strains of bacteria that can be in meat. Those meats that are raised and slaughtered from animals that have had lots of antibiotics may be kind of creating some of those superbugs. So if you can buy meat that's had no antibiotics used, it might be safer. But again, they don't come on hard. What they say most important is that you create whole grains, whole foods, and a diverse diet for your children. But for tips on which and where to spend your money on organic foods versus conventional foods, check out links at Seattle Mama Doc.
Statistics: about 4 in 10 U.S. adults, 39%, and estimate that most 7% or some 32% of the foods they eat is organic. A majority of this group, 68%, believes that organic fruits and vegetables are better for health than conventionally grown options. By comparison, 32% of those who report eating non-organic foods or not too much believe that organic produce is better for one's health. On my personal conclusion, I think that people should choose organic over inorganic food because how your food is grown or raised can have a major impact on your mental and emotional health as well as the environment. Organic foods often have more beneficial nutrients such as antioxidants than their conventionally grown counterparts, and people with allergies, foods, chemicals, or preservatives often find their symptoms lessen or go away when they eat only organic foods.